Hi, I'm Juanita Parker, and this is Unalaska This Week. Today we have City Manager Nancy Gross and Mayor Paul Fuhs with us to discuss some interesting things that are happening in our city. Nancy, the first thing that we'd like to talk about are utilities. I hear there's a lot of interesting things happening.
Well, there's quite a bit going on, as a matter of fact. The sewer project is coming to a conclusion. We have a final inspection scheduled on the 23rd to the 25th of July for the sewer treatment plant. And at that point, we expect that they'll be able to continue on up the valley and with the balance of the system.
How long do you think that will take? What do you think?
We're anticipating completion about mid-September.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So that's right on schedule then?
Well, there have been some change orders, so we've added time to the job because of the change orders. And we've had two assessment districts that have been formed already in Eagleview and on Armstrong Street. The Loop Road petition is now circulating, so there's likely to be a third one. And so there's been some parts of the project that had to be added on.
So is this going to affect our tax rates, or is it going to be billed separately?
It'll be billed separately, and people will get sewer bills. During the first year, the debt service will be picked up in the general fund because people will have the additional cost of hookup to the system. So
That's the interest on the loan.
Right.
The debt service.
Yeah.
Won't
I
be
see.
charged as part of the bill to bring that down.
Right, so that because people will have the additional expense in the first year, and then after that, we'll look and see how much the debt service is. We were fortunate to get a very favorable price on the loan, or interest rate on the loan. It's 7 1/8%.
Oh, that's very good.
And it's 40 years, so the annual payment should not be too bad.
What's the total amount of the loan? Do you dare say?
$1,100,000.
Oh, I see.
The rest of it, it's about a $6 million project, and the balance of the funds are from state and federal grants.
Now, are there districts put out with the sewer project so that in new construction, does everyone have to hook up to the sewer, or are there districts that decide?
If the sewer goes within 100 feet of the property, the ordinance requires the people to hook up.
Oh, great, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty
What
straightforward.
the sewer districts are is that's areas that weren't, the main line wasn't run to those. They're like subdivisions and things like that. And those people said, we want sewer service and we'll pay an additional cost on top of that if you'll make it part of the project, and we'll all pay our fair share so we can have sewer into those areas. So that's why those special districts were made, and it's called an assessment district because those people agreed to assess themselves to
Great.
pay for it.
So everybody can have sewer that wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And there's one more thing, is the city council passed a plan. It's an incentive plan. Once we get it online, the earlier that you hook up, the more sewer charges you'll be forgiven. If you hook up within the first 30 days, you get spared 90 days sewer charges. If you hook up within the first 2 months, you get spared 60 days.
So there's a real incentive to get on the project early.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
It's just a way to try to help get the thing going right at the start, is to provide an incentive to hook up, an economic incentive to hook up earlier.
Good. What about the water system? How's that going?
Well, we have a couple of projects planned. The Standard Oil Hill water main replacement is now being advertised, and there'll be a pre-bid meeting here on July 23rd, and the bids will be opened about the 8th of August. And that will be replacing an old, small diameter water line up on Standard Oil Hill. So we're hopeful that the folks up on Standard Oil will have better water service.
Better pressure, more
Right.
quantity?
Yeah.
Overall, the water system is going to need more work. That's a project that we have to look forward to in the next 2 or 3 years, and with less state and federal money, we may have to pay for a significant portion of that ourselves, but it has to be done, especially, some areas don't have good water pressure all year. That sometimes in the winter, some areas have no water, and these Seremi plants take a lot of water, up to and more than 1 million gallons a month of fresh water. They take a lot. So
So
for
with
the
new
industry
swimming
and
plant
for
coming online.
residential, we need to improve the water system. It's still a World War II system, about 80%. We've replaced about 20%.
It's a big project. Let me see, electrical rates. You have some news for us about
Yes.
that.
The city council last night approved the change in the electrical rates, and this one is kind of some good news, some bad news. I'll give you the good news first. The residential rates are being cut to 20 cents a kilowatt. Small general service is 21 cents. Large general service will be 17, and that's people who, large general is 30 to 100 kilowatts a month. The industrial rate is 12 cents. And this will go into effect the 1st of September.
So what kind of percentage of cut is this? The average person, what kind of difference can they see in their electrical bill with these cuts?
The individual consumers will probably not see over the long term very much change at all, because we have had a 20-cent subsidy under the power cost equalization program. We just learned this afternoon, and here's the bad news, that the subsidy is being cut to 10 cents. So for the next couple of months, people's electric bills are actually going to increase.
But this is only a temporary cut, isn't it?
Right. And then, well, the cut is not temporary, but the new rates don't go into effect until the 1st of September.
Oh, I see. But the subsidy cut is temporary. Is that true? The
In
subsidy
other
cut
words,
is
we charge 30 cents a kilowatt hour now, but we're gonna lose 10 cents of that to this because the state's reducing the subsidy. But since we're reducing the rate by 10 cents a kilowatt hour, the rates will stay the same. If we wouldn't have made this cut, people's electric bill would have gone up by 10 cents a kilowatt hour.
I see. So the subsidy cut is a permanent cut.
Mhm.
However, the cut that the city made will balance it
Will
out.
offset, yeah.
And then you go to industrial, that's quite a bit cheaper, and the reason that we had to do that is most of the plants here generate their own electricity. But we knew that if we could get enough of them to take a big block of power and make our power plant, our new power plant, operate more efficiently, we could lower the rates for everyone. So, and it looks like, you know, some of the big operations are going to sign on now, and that'll allow us to go to these rates, and then we'll take a look at it, and it's, you know, possibly we could go lower. We don't know, we'll have to see, but we're gonna try to produce power at the lowest rate that we can, and we got a real efficient system over there if we can use it to its capacity.
And what do we use to generate electricity at our plant?
Diesel.
Diesel. So I see that they really use some strong arm techniques to get you guys to cut the electrical rates. Was your ankle the only casualty on this?
I don't know, I thought it was a pretty good,
Trade off a broken ankle and you'll cut the electrical rates? Is that
yeah,
how it
right. Yeah.
No, really, Paul, tell us how you broke your ankle.
Well, I was sliding into second base, and that was the bad part of it, but the good part was at the IBU won the 4th of July tournament, so.
It's true. It's
Everyone
true.
in
It's for a
town
good
is not
cause.
happy about that.
Well,
That's all right.
The best men usually do come through.
Labor Day, the Labor Day tournament, wait and see.
Well, we'll
Well,
decide
Nancy,
this.
the Inland Boatmen's Union has never been beat on Labor Day.
Okay,
Now, I mean, that's the wrong day to be.
that's right.
Okay, well, what about the garbage? I know that the city used to hold a contract for the garbage, and now it's gone to independent. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, starting July 1, the city no longer had a garbage contract, and it's up to individuals to dispose of their own garbage. They can have it collected if they want to, and I understand that there is someone in town, at least one firm in town, collecting garbage. There is the landfill maintenance fee, which has been on the bill for the last year, of $4.75 is still in effect. And then the people who want to go out with garbage who do not have a residential utility bill will be paying $1.50 a cubic yard, which is basically what they paid before. We are trying to keep the landfill open 6 days a week. It'll be Tuesday through Sunday. We have a problem with the ordinance though, and there's a 30-day waiting period on the hours, so it won't be until the 10th of August that we're open 6 days a week.
I see. So are you saying that if you have a residential, if you pay residential utility bill, if you take that with you to the dump, then you won't be charged?
Right.
Do you have to have it on your person when you go there?
We will try to also have the printout of who's paid, because
see.
people may not be able to find them or forget them at home.
All right, it's pretty common.
Yeah, right.
Now, the 6 days, we talked about closing the dump on Sunday and keeping it open the other 6 days of the week, wasn't
Okay,
that? That's
what-
how I remember it.
Okay, what
But
the
we'll-
council decided to do last night was
Okay.
keep it open Tuesday through Sunday.
All right.
So the only day that it would
Okay.
be closed is Monday.
Okay, I missed
Yeah.
that meeting.
Yeah.
Had a pressing engagement.
Yes.
Well, let's see. What about geothermal power? Is that project still going on? What's the update on that?
It is, we've been trying for, a year or so to get the economic feasibility, which is the last step before actual financing for construction. And APA has finally gone through all the hoops that their board required and the state administration required. We'll have a team of, 14 or so geologists out here next week from Division of Geologic and Geophysical Services
Well done.
from the state, doing various kinds of examinations that need to be done as a part of the feasibility study. And the APA will have the RFP out for the basic work.
What's
the economic
RFP?
Request for proposal. Like a bid.
Yeah.
Ask
Okay.
people to bid
Yeah.
on it.
And that will be out in August.
Okay, once this project goes through, what will it mean to Unalaska? If it goes through.
It can mean less expensive power in future years when the cost of diesel goes up. There will be the cost of geothermal will be in the construction. It'll be like a dam, where the big
Right.
cost of a hydroelectric project is in the initial construction, and from there on the water runs for 100 years,
Right.
and so the costs remain constant after the initial construction. That's one of the things that we're looking at, and another one is the possibility of mariculture.
Right, it's possible to use the waste hot water from that to either do greenhouses or fish rearing type situation where you can control temperatures for optimum growing conditions. On the geothermal project, it seems like it's just taken forever to get somewhere on this, but what happened is the Power Authority came and said you've got to have all your agreements up front before we'll do the feasibility study. And that was very frustrating in a way, but looking at it, it's a realistic way to approach it, to know what your costs of the steam are going to be going into it and your costs of right-of-way to put the transmission line in and everything. And those agreements have been worked out with the Alaska Power Authority and the Aleut Corporation and the Unalaska Corporation. And all three of those organizations deserve a lot of credit for spending a long time and getting together and finally working out some good cooperative agreements that will benefit them as well as benefit the city. We're not sure if it's going to benefit us till the feasibility study's in, but we want to know for sure before we go to spending $30 to $40 million to put this plant in that it really will be to the benefit of the community.
Or even asking anybody else to spend that kind of money.
Right, exactly.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
can our community support that type of
No.
thing right now? I mean, that's a big expenditure for a small community.
Yeah, well, but if you did it over so many years,
Right.
it would over 30 finance it over 30 to 50 years. But we don't know. That's what the feasibility study will say. If you've got this interest rate and you're borrowing for this long, then it's feasible. If you could build it for 50 million, it's feasible. Or if you could build it for 20 million, or they might say you should hold off until oil prices go back up again before you try to get the money for that.
Right.
I mean, they're going to give us various options and
We'll have to
tell us.
have you back and talk to you after the feasibility study is completed. That should be interesting. Let's see, what about the airport projects? What's going on out there? What's the status?
State airport runway project is now being advertised. The bids are gonna be opened on the 23rd of July. There has been quite a bit of interest expressed by various contractors. It's a state DOT project, and it's conceivable that the bid could be awarded within 2 weeks of the opening.
Oh.
And so construction could get going, towards the middle of August.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Now, what does this entail, this runway expansion?
It is, let's see, taking down the corner on Ballyhoo, widening the runway to 150 feet, rotating it about 2 degrees to try to get a little bit more length. And then there's an additive alternate to the contract which provides for rerouting the road to eliminate the conflict at the end of the runway with the road.
Seems like there's potential safety hazard there.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
There's been so much, there's about $2 million to work with, but they don't know what the bid is going to be. So if they get a bid for less money, they could add on additional parts to the project. And right now, bidding is very competitive, and there's a lot of people with equipment, and this is a real straightforward job. So it's going to be really tight bidding on this job.
It should be exciting to see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm.
Although, you know, if we expand our runway, it's going to really take the thrill out of flying in and out of here.
I could stand a little less thrill.
I just landed again today, and
What about the roof on the airport? What's the story on that?
There is a temporary roof on there now. We are right now reviewing the specs for the replacement, and we're still expecting that that's going to go to bid and be done this fall. It's about a 2-week project if they once get it going.
So it looks like the roof might be completed just in time for the winds,
Mhm.
then?
Yep. Yeah. With any luck at all, we can get it on again before it comes off.
Yeah.
So.
Paul, did you have something you wanted to discuss with us today?
I just want to mention that we talked, another one of these long ongoing projects that's been talked about is the establishment of foreign trade zone status for Unalaska Dutch Harbor. And well, I was in Anchorage for this operation on my leg. I talked to Tony Knowles, he's the mayor of Anchorage, and they're applying for foreign trade zone status, and he said that they would be happy to have us go along with their application and come in as a subzone. And before, we'd researched quite a bit of the economics of it, and there seemed to be some good benefits to it as far as the business that it would bring to town.
Such as?
Well, mainly servicing foreign vessels that are, you know, cargo vessels or fishing vessels, refueling for them. It makes it easier for them to come here and use the port as a service area. They may store spare fishing gear here in warehouses. They may store spare foodstuffs here or machine parts they don't want to carry on board. And this is all business for people in town.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe more personnel, too, to take care of these needs.
Well, we'd have a full-time customs official here, which would be a big difference. Right now, it's you've got to fly them in often when you, and there's a lot of impediments. So a lot of them just stay on the anchor out there, and the community doesn't really get much benefit from that. So, but anyway, we had checked all that out, and Nancy and I have spent quite a bit of time looking into it, and we understand it pretty well, how it works and everything. But we ran up against a technical block, which is that if you're not a port of entry, you can't be a foreign trade zone. So we never applied to be a port of entry here. It probably should have been done many years ago when it was still possible. Now you have to be a minimum population of 500,000 to apply.
Oh.
So that kind of leaves us out forever, probably. So, but this is good that Anchorage would be willing to sponsor
They're
us
kind
on
of a
this
big
and
kid
that
on
we
the
go
block
together.
too, so.
Yeah, they can help move things along.
Yeah, that's good news. That's very good news. Speaking of good news, I think you have one more tidbit to tell
Yes.
us today.
I do. The road paving, we are proceeding with plans to pave from the airport, probably to the bridge to the other side. The material will be coming in on the state ferry on the 21st of August. The equipment, some of it will be coming in, the last pieces that we need will be coming in on August 11th, and we're anticipating paving that stretch of road before the end of August. We had originally thought about trying to come as far as the rec center, but we're really hoping that within the next year or so, we're gonna be able to take out the bad curve at the top of the hill there by Sky High. And if we can do that, then we wanna do it before we pave.
Oh, obviously, yeah, that
Yes.
would probably make some sense.
Right.
Well, the other thing, this ties in with the water. We don't want to pave where the water lines need to be replaced. So the city council talked about it, and they felt strongly that the main road downtown here should be first, and it makes a lot of sense. But the water line needs to be replaced there, and we just have to come back in and dig it up again. But
Right.
we did discuss with this asphaltic type material that we're bringing in, we can make one pass over that, and it wouldn't be like the pavement would be, but it would hold down the dust, which is as bad or worse than the bad roads.
Right.
So we can at least deal with that problem. And then the stretch we are gonna do, what did Jeff say, 37% of our
37%.
road maintenance costs are between that bridge and the airport. So we can free up a lot of city expenses that way. And the other thing is that by taking on a shorter section, we can do it like real pavement. We can put in, it's more expensive, we're doing less, but it'll stay. We're doing it right the first time.
Which is a real important factor. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we had originally planned to use the chip seal process, and then we started to think about the industrial loads, and we get some pretty heavy trucks that go through with,
Constantly.
yeah, and with that lighter weight asphalt, it would break down much faster. And people that we've talked with have advised us that we really need to go with a thicker surface because of the heavy loads.
One loaded container pulled by a truck, that's the equivalent in wear to the road of 26,000 trips by a passenger vehicle.
Oh my God.
That's right. 1 to 26,000, just because of the weight and how it can buckle and move things.
I would much rather drive on a gravel road or, you know, a pothole dirt road than an asphalt road with great
With
big
holes.
potholes in them. And
That's
it's
right.
really frustrating to see your money be put down in pavement and then be tore up in 3 to 6 months. So
Well,
I think that's probably a wise
Yeah.
decision on the council's part. Okay, I think that about wraps up what we had to talk about today. I really appreciate you coming by and the effort you made, Paul.
Yes.
I know that your ankle probably is not very comfortable today. But thank you both for coming by. It's been nice to speak with you.
Thank you.
Despite threatening weather, Unalaska's 4th of July celebration was a great success. I'd like to take a few minutes before we go to let you know the events and the winners. In the parade floats, the Best Family Float prize was awarded to the Clinic, who isn't exactly a family, but they did such a good effort, they won the prize. Best Business was awarded to City of Unalaska. Best Organization to Mr. Mick and Turtle of Channel 8. The survival suit races, Kevin Smith took first prize, Coulter Hessel second, and Merlin Vanderhart took third place. The anchor toss was won by Jerry Stott, who threw a 92-foot, 9-inch throw. Second place, Coulter Hessel. Third place, P.O. Olive. Sean Watson won the grease pole climb and claimed the $100 waiting at the top of the pole. Tug of War was won by a team made up of Paul Fuhs, Vince Tutiakoff, Andy Jones, P.O. Olive, Alan Warden, Jerry Stott, Johnny Bruce, and Jim T. A really big thank you to the following ladies from the Neptune Handmaiden Survival Suit Water Ballet: Urata Majeka, Jordis Pellegrini, Jan Widmark, Melissa Owens, Nancy Steeres, Chris Parker, Wendy DeBacher, and Linda Miller, who choreographed the session. We'd also like to thank the committee members and the people who donated prizes, which included AC, Carl's, Wallachek Marine, The Elbow Room, ITC, Stormies, Alaska State Bank, Marine Construction Engineering, and Nikki's Place. Special thanks to all the people that helped make this celebration a success, and a really big thank you to the men on the United States Coast Guard cutter Resolute for taking part in our parade with the color guard and allowing the people of our area to board the vessel for an open house. There are just a few upcoming events that I'd like to mention before we leave. On July 22nd, Tuesday, from 11:30 to 1:30 at the teleconference trailer, there will be a discussion on emotional child abuse. So moms, bring yourselves and your children with a brown bag lunch. On July 25th, there's a pet and doll parade. It's on from 1 to 3 p.m. and there's no fee. Children, dress yourselves and your pets and dolls and parade through town with the recreation staff. It'll be lots of fun with prizes for the best pet and children's costumes. Meet at the community center about 12:30. Thank you. See you next week.